Welcome to Gone Outdoors. Kyle Agre and Scott Brewer of Brewer Agre Outdoors. Talking hunting, talking fishing, and talking anything you can do outdoors. Right here on Kello News Talk 1320, 107.9 FM, and KWSN 1230 AM, 98.1 FM, both out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and the mighty 790 KFGO Fargo 104.7 FM. Today's Gone Outdoors is brought to you by Ray's Sport and Marine, your local Lund Boats and Bennington pontoon dealer in Moorhead. RaysMarineMoorhead.com. Adventure RV across from the Fairgrounds Inn, West Fargo, your number one RV dealer in the FM area. AdventureRVSales.com. Devil's Lake Tourism. Looking for wide open spaces, amazing fishing, and a refreshing escape? Discover Devil's Lake, where adventure, relaxation, and North Dakota hospitality come together. Plan your stay at devilslakend.com. The Outdoor Adventure Foundation. For over 17 years, the foundation has created life-changing outdoor adventures for youth facing life-threatening illness, injured veterans, and first responders. Learn more at outdooradventurefoundation.org. Strand Ace Hardware, Barnesville and downtown Pelican Rapids, proudly family-owned for 70 years. Valley Truck Gear, protecting your equipment. The Outdoorsman, and Onyx Fish Midwest, cast beyond the familiar. And thank you for joining us this morning for another Gone Outdoors as we bring to you a South Dakota special edition, Gone Outdoors. Scott, truth in radio here and transparency. We're actually broadcasting live today in Fargo at the Shields Hunt Expo, an annual event they hold there. And so we are dedicating this program to all of our South Dakota listeners. This will be aired on Kello News Talk and KWSN out of Sioux Falls. And it's always a treat when we can dedicate this time to look at specifically what's going on in the great state of South Dakota and talk to some of our guests from that part of the world. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to jump in, we're going to enjoy it, and we're going to have a good time. We are getting at that point in the summer, Scott. We knew it was going to happen. Things are starting to, we're feeling a little bit of the shorter days. We're feeling the heat. There's no doubt about that.
We've definitely been feeling the heat.
And, we've had some folks in our thoughts and prayers over the last week with some of those fires up in Ontario, other parts of Canada, and certainly in the Boundary Waters area of Minnesota. So definitely some summer things going on there. What do you have on your docket, Mr. Brewer, for the week coming up, or maybe looking back at the week just past?
Oh, boy. My weeks are busy with work. My weekends are busy basically now until Labor Day with family events and more family events. We got family events almost every weekend. So fishing is going to get kind of put on hold for a bit, which is just fine. I would put it on hold every weekend for a family event. And then we're going to be into September, and September means hunting seasons are opening.
Yeah. It's coming around fast, isn't it?
It's coming around really fast.
We're trying to soak up every second we can of the summer, and we're waiting and getting anxious about hunting, and it's all good. It's all fun. We've been definitely, as you say, staying busy. We had our Lake Agassiz High School Fishing League in our last regular season event this past week. We got our championship coming up. We've been doing Lund virtuals, and I know there's some teams down in the South Dakota area that have been fishing with us on these Lund virtual fishing leagues. A lot of fun stuff with kids there. Definitely stuff that we've been doing, Scott, and focusing in on the outdoors here in our home area. And there's never a shortage of things to do.
No, there isn't. And I figured this would be a great opportunity, Kyle, to chat a little bit more about that Lund Virtual League, because we talk about Lake Agassiz League a lot.
Yep.
But for our South Dakota listeners, that doesn't apply. Granted, I don't know, are there any high school teams in South Dakota? I'm not sure if you're aware of any or not.
Well, and I think the beauty with the Lund Virtual is you don't have to be affiliated with a high school fishing team to be a part of it, right? And
Correct.
And high school fishing teams are great, and I'd invite anybody to reach out if they want to get one going in their community. We definitely have the infrastructure and the information to share. But if you are someone who has a young angler, a student angler in your family, in your neighborhood, in your circle of friends, whatever it might be, that is interested in fishing. And you know what? When you talk about young people, these are bass fishing tournaments, and you're not going to go wrong there because these these guys and gals love to fish bass.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. As did I when I was a kid, and I still do occasionally. Yeah, when I was a kid, that's the only thing I could think about was chasing bass. So when you say young angler, are you talking up to 17, up to 18, 5 to 18,
Well,
or any age to 18?
youngest can be you have to be age 5. That's our minimum
Okay.
age. And then the summer after you graduate from high school, you can fish with us. And then beyond that, you'd be considered an adult.
So
Um,
the beautiful thing that I think about this is it really opens it up so you don't have to have a boat. You can fish from shore, you can fish from a kayak, you can fish from a raft, you can fish
Pontoon.
from anything you want.
Yep.
You don't have to have a partner. You don't have to have 2 kids. It could be an adult and 1 kid, or it could be 2 kids.
Yep.
I mean, there's so many options. It doesn't cost very much, and they all have a chance to win a lot of really cool prizes.
And you know what? We want to make it fun for families. If you've got a lot of kids in your neighborhood or whatever it might be, get a couple of teams, get on a pontoon. As long as you keep your fish separate, it's okay. And we've had a few times when teams have done that, right? We've got mom and one kid fishing at the back of the pontoon, dad and the other kid fishing in the front, and they're competing teams. They're competing against each other in the rest of the field, and it's kind of a cool way to do it.
And it's not like when you say keep the fish separate, it's not that difficult
No.
because you're taking photos and you're letting them go. It
Yep.
isn't like you're throwing them in the live ball and you got to tag who's or who's.
No, right? You catch the fish, and your team takes their phone, opens the Fish Donkey app, takes that picture of the fish on the ruler, gets a measurement, and then gets that fish back into the water as quickly as they can for a safe release. You submit the photo with the measurement, and the app does the rest of the work. It converts it into a weight, pounds, and it keeps track of your 7 largest bass for the day. And here's the beauty of it. You can fish any body of water you want. That's public water. You just can't go back to Grandpa's pond behind the old farmhouse where he stocked it full of 10-pound largies. You can't do that, but if it's public water, it's fair game anywhere you want. And we do it virtually, and so you're competing against people across the Midwest. We've even had some teams as far away as New Hampshire compete in these events with us.
That's really, really cool.
Very cool. You know what else is cool, Scott, is our lineup of guests today, and we're about at the end of our segment, so we got to jump in and cover that. Troy Peterson, Mr. Bluegill from ICAST. Not from ICAST. He was there. He's back home now, but he's going to give us a report on what he saw at ICAST, and I can't wait to hear what he has to say. Artie Arnt over at Artie's Bait and Tackle in Ortonville, Minnesota on Bigstone Lake. He's going to give us a border water report and talk a little bit about some of those giant panfish that we've been seeing on his social media page. And Brian Bashore of the Walleye Guys is going to talk Lewis and Clark Lake and what is going on there with the bite. You're going to want to stick with us, folks. We got to take a quick break now, but we'll be back with more Gone Outdoors. Onyx Fish Midwest, covering 11 states on both iOS and Android. All your fishing information is one click away. Searching for new destinations by species, abundance, or trophy potential, it's all at your fingertips, including access points and shoreline ownership.
You get confused by special lake regulations, they're all on Onyx Fish Midwest. Real-time weather for your exact location, aerial imagery, and waypoint management, all right to your mobile device. Use code BA Outdoors to get 20% off your subscription at onyxmaps.com. Hey everybody, welcome back to Gone Outdoor Radio. You're listening on Hello News Talk or KWSN in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. We really appreciate you listening to our Sioux Falls, South Dakota special edition today. we are going to do something special for you guys right now. We're going to chat with Troy Peterson, Mr. Bluegill Outdoors. Troy spent a good part of a week and a half ago at ICAST, the International Fishing Trade Show down in Florida, and we figured he could tell us some of the cool things that he thought. And you got to remember, Troy's an angler just like us. He's out there every day, and he's looking for new things that's going to make his job easier. How you doing, Troy?
I am great, guys. Long time no talk, and I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, no, it has been a while. So ICAST was a week and a half ago. The main draw is new products. You know, this is where all of the sport fishing industry's big show, big guys bring all their new products and introduce them. What was some of the cool new stuff that you saw that's going to be hitting the market either yet this year or next spring for sure, or possibly this winter?
Sure. So, boy, it's if you've never looked at ICAST or see what ICAST is, it is the holy grail for a fisherman because every single company that has anything to do with the fishing industry is there in some way, shape, or form. The Chinese manufacturers from overseas, the presidents and CEOs of Rapala, of Daiwa, Shimano. I mean, everybody comes to this show to highlight their new products for next year. And then what they have at every show is a new product showcase. So if you're a new company or just a company that's been around forever, it gives them a chance to put their best and upcoming in front of the media's eyes, and then they get voted on by the peers, whether it be media personnel or just buyers and such from all the retailers across America get to go into this new product showcase, vote for the new products. And then they give away, best of category prizes for each, that you have new rod and reel combo for freshwater or new rod for saltwater. I mean, you name it. There's kind of a category for every fishing aspect that's out there. And then they give away the awards, and then they give one final award away, which would be the best of show, which means they take all the winners of the best of category, put them in another separate area, and then they get to vote on what comes away as the best new product for the entire show. And every year it's always something different. Electronics have really been kind of, it seems like every year somebody's coming out with something new. So that's always, whether it be Humminbird or Garmin or the Rands, usually one of the top three are in there with something new, and they're always kind of competing against each other. This year, we all seen the new Garmin, LiveScope 2.0. That one took best of show or best of category. But where I really spend a lot of my time is looking at the stuff that we use on a day-to-day basis, baits. What is the new trend? What kind of new stuff is out there? A lot of stuff that gets introduced there is primarily for saltwater guys or bass guys. So us walleye guys don't really get the limelight or get a whole lot of stuff to get all geeked out about. But that doesn't mean that the bass stuff you can't bring back and use towards walleye fishing. And for as long as I've been going down to ICAST, I've been paying attention to some of these new bass baits and, getting a hold of some of them, bringing them up here and just whacking walleyes with them. So don't be afraid to explore your options there with the bass stuff. Yes, sir.
Question for you on the bass stuff. It seems like the hottest new bait this season has been the
I was just going
urchin
to get into
bait.
it.
It's the urchin bait, and I've never used one. I don't own one. Did they come out at ICAST last year?
This was kind of I think more of an inline mid-season launch. Seems like every company or anybody that makes soft plastics has got a lurchin or an urchin style bait. Every bait company that you walked by, every booth had some sort of urchin style bait, and they were everywhere. And I want to tell you this again, right? Bass guys, are swearing by them. I don't understand why fish eat them, but the walleyes absolutely destroy them. I cannot figure out what it is. If the walleyes think that, there's like a whole bunch of little minnows, feeding on whatever. I don't know if that's what they think it is, and they come up and they just inhale it. But I will tell you is every fish I've caught on it so far, we're having to do surgery on. There's no nibble. They're coming up, and I think that bigger bait, all those little tentacles, I think that just resembles a whole school of minnows feeding on something, and they come in and take the biggest gulp they possibly can to get all those minnows in their mouth, and that urchin ball of little fingers is 3/4 of the way down the throat, and it is a crazy bait. Never in a million years would I ever think I'd throw something like that for a walleye.
It does seem really strange, doesn't it, Troy? And I've watched a few videos too, and I don't know if it's the darting action or when it moves fast, or if it's that just tantalizing little wiggle when you pause it there that really gets them to bite. But it's something that I've been interested in, and I think you're right in your assessment that it crosses over between bass, walleye, and just about any other fish that swims. That's a predator. They're going to eat it, right? And were there some other new products down there that really, really caught your eye? Let's name a few of those that people should be looking out for.
Yeah, so I'm going to start off first. I know we've all thrown Yamamoto Senko worm. At some point in our life, we've all thrown one. We've all had one tear off a hook. We've all lost them during the cast, and that's just because of the formula. I would have to say, if I would take a look at the most popular bait, and one that probably didn't get as much credit as what it deserved, is the Z-Man Kingpin. They've got a new formulation of their Laztec material that sinks. So now you've got a Senko style bait with that Laztec that you can run a hook through it, fish it just like you would any other Senko. You don't need any bands or anything to keep the worm on your hook, and you're not ripping it off. To me, that's probably one of the coolest things I've seen down there. And then they've also got it's called the Stuntman. It's another form of their sinking Laztec that's in like a jerkbait style body, a minnow style body, and that thing's got some crazy action. I can see fishing in the weeds for walleyes or smallmouth, or even pike and that thing's gonna be a killer bait. It's got the right fall. It's actually kind of got like a roll when it falls too, and just watching it in the tank, that's gonna drive fish crazy. So that one there, I think we're going to see a little bit of traction once people start fishing it. That sinking Laztec, something that's never really been done to the degree of what they've figured out here. Just a perfect fall rate.
Troy, we could talk about this all day, all the stuff. I mean, literally all day, but we got to finish up. I do know that you did post a bunch of stuff on your social media page. So before we close out here, you can throw that out there so people can go and look. So first of all, thanks for coming on Gone Outdoors. Second of all, how can people follow you and how can people see that info?
Sure. Yeah. If you go to facebook.com /Walleye Guide, or just type in Mr. Bluegill, you'll find me. And I've got a bunch of new videos and photos and stuff I'll be posting up here today after a weekend of crazy traveling, trying to get back home.
Perfect. Thanks, buddy. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Stick around. We'll be back with more Gone Outdoors after this short break. This is Scotty and Kyle. If you're in the market for a new fishing boat, you've got to check out Ray Sport Marine in Moorhead. They've got a huge lineup of Lund boats, all powered by Mercury outboards.
From chasing walleyes to pulling the kids on tubes and skis, there's a Lund built for every kind of adventure, with a Mercury on the back to power through it all.
Visit Ray Sport Marine in Moorhead, just north of Menards, or explore their full Lund and Mercury lineup anytime at raysportmarine.com.
Welcome back to the second half of this morning's Gone Outdoors. Kyle Agre and Scott Brewer of Brewer Agre Outdoors. Talking hunting, talking fishing, and talking anything you can do outdoors right here on Kello News Talk and KWSN in Sioux Falls in our special Sioux Falls, South Dakota Gone Outdoors edition this weekend. We're very excited and pleased to welcome a familiar voice to Gone Outdoors, Mr. Artie Arnt. Artie's Bait and Tackle in Ortonville, Minnesota, on the border of Minnesota and South Dakota, Bigstone Lake. Artie, how is your summer going?
Hot, too hot.
What?
Well, I'll tell you what, other than the heat, it's flying right by. Here we are, we're already approaching the end of July.
It goes by so fast. And you know what? We're going to blink 3 times and you and I and Scott are going to be talking about ice conditions. And, we love our 4 seasons. And the one thing is we get the extremes, but they don't stick around forever. Yeah. Hey, how has fishing been down there on the border waters of Bigstone Lake this summer? We've seen a lot of, social posts and things like that, but you've got your finger on the pulse better than just about anybody else in that area. How have things been going?
It's funny. I grew up on Bigstone Lake and, for the first 20, 30 years of my life, Bigstone was kind of the same lake every year in, year out. The weed lines are in the same spots. The walleye hot spots are in the same spots. And I'll tell you what, the last 10 to 15 years on Bigstone, every single year we get an entirely new story to tell on Bigstone. With the changes that we've had, whether it's the species that are biting or the big ones, sometimes we've got, too many weeds and now we have no weeds. So it's a big story, but right now the highlight on Bigstone is our trophy bluegills. And, those that have fished Bigstone know that, Bigstone's been known for, pretty good bluegills here for real solid the last 5 years. Zebra mussels came into our system really strong about a year ago. And, everybody's, pretty well aware of what that does now. It cleans up your water, and, there's pros and cons to it. And I'll tell you, one of the pros right now is bluegills eat those things. And, we used to have tons of, 10 and a half inch bluegill. And we're seeing those bluegills now gorging themselves and they're pushing 12 inches. And, we're seeing state record bluegills come out here.
Yeah.
So that's really been the story of the last couple of weeks for us.
Artie, when you say big bluegills, and we've talked big bluegills, big stones, big bluegills on the show many times, but not like they are now. I mean, you broke the state record twice that I know of, possibly more, and the Minnesota DNR is thinking it's going to be broke again before winter.
Yeah, it is. It is nuts to see what it's doing, and I will throw out there to the listeners that know, and there's some question on the state record. For those that don't know, the DNR has reestablished a few of the state records that weren't done on certified weights. So, if we go way back into the 80s, and I don't want to quote which lake it was, but I think there was a 2-pound 13-ounce recorded, but it wasn't a certified weight. So the DNR is kind of going through this process of reestablishing some records. So for those that, may not know or are kind of in question. And so, yeah, now we had a 2-pound bluegill break the record, and a few days later, 2.21, I think is what it was, that broke the record again. And yes, our local DNR fisheries and everybody fishes the lake is expecting that to continue to break just because the number of big bluegills that we're seeing.
It's absolutely amazing to think of a bluegill at or around 2 pounds. That's absolutely massive. You mentioned zebra mussels. Are there other factors that go into why these fish are attaining that size?
I rely a lot on the local fisheries guys in the DNR. I mean, these guys in town are smart. Kyle Anderson, Chris Domeyer, and they speak the language better than I do. But basically, the food and the bugs and whatnot that these bluegills eat obviously is really strong in Bigstone. I'm not going to try to quote exactly which organisms everything's eating, but I tell you, I mean, the food source that the bluegills are looking for has been solid for years. And like I said, the zebra mussels, I think, is what's really pushing us into that next tier of size that, we haven't seen. I mean, I've grew up and lived on the lake and never seen 12-inch bluegills. I mean, that's just, you think a 2 1/4 pound bluegill, I'm thinking about when we fish competitively for walleyes, a 2.25 pound walleye is about a 19-inch walleye. So you're
Yep.
starting to talk a weight of a bluegill being the same as the weight of a 19-inch walleye, that's pretty ridiculous.
Something else, isn't it? Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit, Artie, and get your perspective on, number one, how does someone go out and target fish that are of this trophy caliber? But secondly, how important it is to really practice good conservation when we're talking about fish of this trophy size.
Yeah, great question. So, we'll start with, how you target them. And, unfortunately, that's kind of that's a complicated answer because, as the year goes on, I mean, you're seeing those bluegills move to different stages. Clearly they like to hang off the edge of rocks. I had a report the other day of somebody that did really, really well on bluegills, and they were right in between where there was still a little bit of vegetation and some rocks. They kind of found a little spot that caught some fish. The funny thing is the state record bluegill, I got a chance to interview and talk to that individual. And I'm like, all right, so where did you catch it? I don't normally advertise exact locations, but this guy was out in the middle of the lake on 10 foot of flat, nothing special, no structure, no nothing, right down by town in Ortonville. He was using a plain hook and a night crawler. And I mean, that's about as simple as it gets. So anybody thinking that you got to really be smart or have live scope or be super, special to catch these fish, that's not the case, and there's a lot of people out there right now just trolling the bottom bouncer, spinner, and a crawler because all of our weeds are basically out of the lake. Anything 5 foot deep or deeper is basically weed free right now. And there's no weeds that really replaced them this year. So we got a lot of people out just trolling the old bottom bouncer, spinner, and the crawler. And they said when these bluegills hit, that rod bends in half, so
Wow.
I mean, it's a pretty simple way to fish them, I got a kick out of it. My hired man at the bait shop, Doug, was telling somebody the other day, he said, when you hook one of these bluegills, it feels like you're reeling in the lid of a trash can sideways. And that was a really good way to explain it.
That's a great analogy. So conservation, I want to make sure we include some of that in our conversation this morning before we're out of time. How important is it with these bluegills? Because they don't just grow that big overnight.
They don't. And conservation is another really, really complicated discussion. A lot of fishermen kind of use their conservation techniques as a one size fits all on all bodies of water and all fisheries. I had actually tried to initiate a voluntary, like 1/10 inches, because, that was kind of the known thing. Like, hey, we want to conserve these fish. And there's certainly good arguments and studies to conserving those big fish. However, I do want to share local fisheries has aged bluegills. I think a year ago, they aged 250 bluegills. And to summarize the study, bluegills on Bigstone, out of 250 bluegills, they did not find any bluegills 7 years old or older. So what's happening here is these bluegills grow really, really fast. They get to about 6 years old, they die. And it's something that they haven't seen anywhere else in the state of Minnesota, that type of pattern. Usually you're seeing bluegills grow to 8, 9, 10 years, to get that big. These 10-inch bluegills, a lot of these fish are like 6 years old and they die, So it's an interesting conversation. I encourage people. I mean, it certainly doesn't hurt to be a sportsman. I believe in if you get that trophy and you want to go mount it, you go for it. Do you need to keep a whole pail of big bluegills? Probably not. But you know what? To each their own. You buy a license and, you make your own decisions in conservation. But I think people in general are really good. The conversations I have at the bait shop, I think, 90% of the people I talk to are throwing these fish back or keeping a few for a meal or maybe keeping one for a wall, that type of thing. And another discussion that comes up in the release of these fish is you don't want them to overpopulate either. So some harvest is good. And I know anglers sometimes don't always look at it that way. And I'm certainly not saying we need to take the biggest fish out of the lake, but we do have to remember that some harvest is good. It does allow the other fish to succeed.
I love it. Those are great perspectives, Artie. And all of those factors come together in a really complex situation, which is what you said. And so the more educated we can be, the better. Artie, if people have questions or looking for information on Big Stone Lake, they need to come to your bait shop. How do they find you, where you're at, and then how do they get a hold of you?
We are right at the junction, Highway 7 and 12 in Ortonville at Artie's Bait and Tackle. I also own the Park Inn by Radisson Hotel in town if you need accommodations. And, for the most people, we do a lot of updating on Facebook. Look us up on Artie's Bait and Tackle on Facebook, and we certainly will get out a lot of information for you on there as well.
Thanks for spending a little bit of time and giving us some of your insight this morning, Artie. We appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Folks, don't go away. We are up against the clock and we have to take a break, but we'll be back with more Gone Outdoors.
At Acme Tackle, innovation meets results, from legendary cast masters to proven trolling and jigging baits that flat out catch fish.
When it's time to finesse, power, or fill the live well, reach for Kalen's Plastics. Lifelike action, proven colors, and the soft plastics that fish just don't let go of.
And tie it all together with Elliott fishing rods, lightweight, sensitive, and built for anglers who demand performance on every cast.
Acme Tackle, Kalen's Plastics, and Elliott fishing rods. Fish smarter, fish harder, and fish confident.
Hey everybody, welcome back to our South Dakota special edition of Gone Outdoor Radio. You're listening on Kello News Talk or KWSN. Scotty Brewer, Kyle Agre, Brewer Agre Outdoors. And we are going to chat with Brian Bashore. He is the Walleye Guys Guide Service. He is the owner of it on Lewis and Clark Lake and other areas. How you doing, Brian?
Doing outstanding. Hot. I'm sweating profusely today. That's all right. I like it.
Man. Oh, I'm glad you like it. I prefer like 78 degrees and a light breeze, but I mean,
I take the heat.
I've been known to go out.
Wind, so.
I've been known to go out in 20 below, and I've been known to go out at 110. So you take what you
North Dakota guys got to like that freezing temp to live up there.
I don't know about
hard, but
I don't know about like it. We just have to be dumb enough to put up with it.
Yeah. So Brian, you've been guiding for many, many years, and you started the Walleye Guys Guide Service. So not only you're guiding, but you're running a guide business. You got other guys that'll work for you. Was it a good decision on your part? A good life decision?
Yeah, life decision. I don't know about that. 20 years, but it's been 15 years. I mean, like I say, if you do it, you love you're doing, you'll never work a day in your life. But I wouldn't wholeheartedly agree with that. It's work every day, and even in the off season. I think what most people realize about guiding is it's not all about fishing and catching fish. It might be 80% business, 20% fishing, and a lot of that business is marketing to keep yourself busy. And I got fortunate to have a few other, Randy and Scott and Adam, a few other guys that help stay pretty busy, but you want to keep them busy as well. And it takes time, marketing, business sense, a lot of sales and tourism tax to pay, and trying to keep, everybody busy. And then you got to stay on the fish so you can keep your clients happy. So,
yeah.
And, we all know how that goes. Fish don't control the weather.
So I got a two-part question for you. One is, if you were just guiding by yourself, nobody else, how long would it take you per day to run an 8-hour guide trip? I mean, with cleaning the boat and bait and then all the prep work and all the cleanup after.
Yep, you can probably add 4 hours to that 8-hour day. So I get up around 5 every day and coffee and kind of get a few things ready in the boat, go to the bait shop, get ice, get more bait if we need to, pick your clients up, fish all day. We fish a full day right now with 7 to 3. Went 62 a couple days ago to beat the heat. Then you get back in it, 3-ish, clean fish, bag them, get them back to their car by 4. Then if you got to clean up, whatever, so it's maybe 5 o'clock, and I pretty well am not home all summer. I'm living in my camper down at the lake, so 4:30, 5 o'clock, and then boat stuff's ready to go, or at least cleaned up, partly ready for the next morning. But then now I got all the voicemails, the emails, the social, all the stuff to go through from the day, and get back to that at night. I'm usually on my laptop till 9 or 10 at night.
So a 12-hour day for your average guide. But since you're running a business, a bigger business than just one guide, you can tack on another 2-3 hours.
Yep. In the heart of the summer, it's busy. I mean, I think there's half a dozen emails and bookings that came through the day that I need to get back to, and we're full pretty much, at least for this whole week. And pretty much the rest of July. But trying to squeeze a few people here. A lot of morning trips. It's hot, so a lot of guys are doing half days, but we can get some of these other people in the afternoons or even 5 to 9 in the evening when it cools down. So weather's hot, but the fishing's hot too. So bite's been great. So it's a lot of work. So
Brian, I've oftentimes heard that, you wear a lot of hats as a fishing guide, right? The hospitality hat, the businessman hat, the accountant's hat, and you're kind of the marketing hat. You're doing it all. What are some of those that maybe a lot of people overlook that are important pieces of your business that somebody's got to do, and when you're the owner, you're the one that gets tagged with it?
Yeah, the accountant hat, of course, is a big one. You got to figure out what does it cost you to go fishing every day? How much does it? I mean, it's $100 some the minute I pull that boat out of the garage. Now it's way more than that this year because obviously fuel, and maybe you need to add a fuel charge to your season if fuel prices are as high as they are. Or do I buy flats of crawlers? Or I just get them from the bait shop every day? And I work with a great bait shop who allows us to go in and fill up a bucket full of ice every day, so I don't have to pay for ice. So that saves you add up a 20-pound bag of ice every day. That adds up quick to quite a bit of money throughout the year. But we have tourism. Guides in South Dakota are responsible for sales tax, tourism tax, and if I'm guiding in Chamberlain, I got to pay to that another 1.5% to that city tax. So and those are due every monthly or quarter, however you're set up, and that that adds up. And most guys probably aren't thinking about some of that or setting that 5.5% to 6.5% aside. So when that comes due, you got that money instead of just plugging it back into the fuel tank and the lures and bait you're buying.
So Brian, for any younger, let's say a high school kid that's thinking, I'm going to be a fishing guide. This is what I want to do for my life, and I'm good at it. So if are you going to recommend that they skip college and just go out and go fishing? Or are you going to recommend that they go to college? And if so, which degree should they take? Marketing? Should they take accounting or mixture?
Yeah, I think, marketing, business degree with an emphasis on the marketing aspect of it. So it doesn't matter how good you are catching them if nobody knows about it. So if people don't know you exist and understand, obviously I own a small digital media company, so I'm kind of understand all that pretty well. Google ads, obviously there's social media stuff, but there's so much more to it. Be members to GLOW, right? Outdoor Writers Associations, get involved with all those people. YouTube, it's kind of a whole new era nowadays versus the old, getting in magazines. You kind of got to be your own photographer, videographer, and marketing and produce and do everything because there's not a lot of money in getting to hire somebody to do all that for you. So get good at it, which generation coming up is growing up with these phones and that technology, so they're probably a lot better at it than some of us old timers. But that's going to be where you need to kind of get in there and understand it. AI can help you do a lot of that, but don't lean on it too much because it doesn't know fishing very well yet. But Google stuff, geo marketing, geo tracking, SEO, website development, get really, really nerdy on all that stuff and you'll be a lot more successful.
All right, Brian, we really appreciate you coming on Gone Outdoors to help us. You said that the bite is on fire down there. How can people get a hold of you if they'd like to reach out or if they'd maybe just got a question or two?
Yep, you bet. You can go to thewalleyeguys.com on the website. Check us out on Facebook at The Walleye Guys or YouTube at The Walleye Guys. Or over there at Real Talk Fishing Podcast. Bashore Outdoors on Instagram. We're pretty much everywhere. But go online. You can book on there, and then fishing reports are done about every week or so. But the bite's pretty good for as hot as it is. It's we limited out today, but we had to work for it. But good fish, good bite, good fishing.
All right, thanks, Brian. We appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you, guys.
Special thanks to our show sponsors, Raysport Marine, Adventure RV, Devil's Lake Tourism, Valley Truck Gear, Strand Ace Hardware, the Outdoor Adventure Foundation, the Outdoorsman, and Onyx Fish Midwest. Thank you for tuning to today's Gone Outdoors. Follow along when you're on the water or in the field. Gone Outdoor Podcast. KWSN.com, KELO.com, Apple Podcast, or on Spotify. Visit us at breweryagreoutdoors.com and follow us on social media. Until next week, from Scotty and Kyle, we will be Gone Outdoors.